Why can it be so counterproductive to use too much NLP in your life, either on yourself or with your clients and patients and people around you, and why it can be destructive if you try to force too much all at once? We are going to see that in this video, and the way I would like to express that is by showing this kind of learning curve. This is not mine, it is found on the internet, but it is pretty common, and that does give an example pretty accurate of how I learned personally and how I think everybody learns in the end. So you are going to go through moments where you explode, everything becomes clearer and you have so much understanding and you get results, and moments where you lose motivation, you don't feel like anymore you're making any progress, or you think that all the things you have learned are not useful anymore, or you don't know how to do any more things you have been able to do before. As you can see on this curve, some moments are getting down. This is the moments where actually your brain needs to process all the things you have been accumulating in the past weeks or months. So by needing those downtimes, your mind will put less emphasis onto the building of new skills. And that is where people get discouraged, they stop and they don't want to continue anymore. Whereas those are the most important moments, because those are the ones where you are really fortifying and building up all the knowledge and where everything you have accumulated, so that you will build automations. Without those downtimes, those plateaus, those moments like that, you will just never get to unconscious competence, because unconscious competence only happens if you have allowed to your brain and physiology and nervous system to process all those things you have accumulated, and you chill out and you calm down, and it's okay, you're going to make progress again later. Which is obviously something more difficult to accept and figure out when you are by yourself alone. That is why, on a side note, I have built this community in the description. It is called the NLP Next Gen Community, where we all gather together and we exchange the tips and tricks, and people who are more advanced are giving guidance to people who are newcomers and don't really know yet what to do, and people who are new can ask questions and get very good feedback and very good answers from people who have been in the field for longer. So you can join us if you want. We have a call every Thursday at the same time, and you have access to all the replays in the dashboard, where plus hypnotic tracks I have built for myself to accelerate my own learning and to make progress faster into NLP. You can have access to all of that in the description. It is the first link. If you want to join us, you are free to come. So basically, whenever the career is on the line, people are going to put more pressure on themselves. Many people who start with NLP start because they want to change their career. Either they want more money, or they want to get the one certification that will make them become a professional coach and then do what they love all day long. Very often it is coming down to career change, career shift. For some it might just be basic personal healing, in which case it can also be a pressure, but I would say the bigger results which have threat to your career, your relationships and your overall health, those goals put a lot of pressure, and the moments where you don't make progress, you just feel like they are harder than they really is, because of all the emotional pressure you have been putting on the line. So those downtimes, those plateaus where the progress in your life is flat and you don't really see anything new, you have the feeling, or like it looks like you're not doing anything productive, it looks like everything you are doing is just turning around in circles, nothing is really advancing. Those moments are normal, and if you have been putting a massive goal behind that, if you are learning NLP skills because of some very important career shift you want to get into, then obviously there will be massive frustration when you are on those plateaus where it feels like everything you're doing is not leading to any result. So this is where I say that too much NLP or too much practicing or too much learning is not really always an advantage, because in those moments of difficult motivation, because in those plateaus basically you don't have really much willpower anymore. So you said in the beginning with your New Year resolution, you said that this year you will really get into this important goal until the end of the year, and after 2 or 3 months, you are at the first downfall, or maybe even before, but usually the first downfall here is happening after 2 months, I would say, or 1 month and a half, maybe 2 or 3 months. You just get a downfall, and that's where people stop. Whereas this downfall is needed. You need that downfall because you have accumulated progress and now your mind needs to reset, to rest. And the frustration comes in those moments if you are pushing and forcing too much during those downtimes. This is exactly where people give up and do something else, and then 10 years later they feel like their life didn't belong to them at all because they have just switched to the next thing and the next thing, and they never really got at the end of any really important change they wanted to get in their life. That's the sad story of too many people. And if you start lowering the pressure and the level of efforts, but you keep doing them, or I should say you reduce the level of expectations you have during those moments of down times where you are less productive, less active, less motivated, you just keep learning, but do 2 or 3 times less than what you were expecting to do when you set the goal in the beginning. Because those moments of high intense emotional pressure because you have been putting high expectations from the beginning on acquiring, mastering all of that stuff in just 2 months, or in just 6 months, because on Instagram you have seen somebody who became an athlete in 6 months or who became rich in 6 months, and you think you need to get at the same level, and in the end it is always bullshit, because those learning curves, they take 3 or 4 years before you really get at an extremely massive high level of skills, and 3-4 years, maybe even more than that, but let's say after 3 years usually you have a very solid foundation in anything. Whatever you're doing, 3 years is like the checkpoint where you get into a really solid foundation. 3 to 5 years is like becoming advanced, starting to develop advanced knowledge and advanced understanding and skills. And then 5 to 7 years is really mastery, where you become an expert, you become a master in something. Just, if you don't believe me, just look musicians, just look athletes, and then come back to me and tell me it is not taking years. Because all of those skills, they do take years. They do take at the very least 3-4 years to really get advanced. And then past the 7 years or 8 years, you have exploration. So people who already are an expert at something, then they may keep practicing, not because they need, but because they enjoy it. And they will keep inventing new stuff, even maybe writing books on with things that no one has ever seen before. That's what happened with Bandler. He developed a knowledge that no one in the field of psychology had seen before, because he kept developing, learning and studying and practicing his skills even beyond the point of mastery. That will happen down the line, but if you're always putting so much high expectations on the very first few months, obviously they won't happen in the way you have expected, and you will have this massive burning frustration of, oh, I was supposed to work right away, and it's not working right away. And then, like everybody, you may be tempted to quit, and you will feel like, oh, it's not the right time, I have too many other things to study right now, I have too many problems. Those things are defense mechanisms. If you want to find the energy, if you want to find the time to study, it is not time you need, it is energy. Energy allocated to the right thing, and during the down times, the plateaus, you are low energy. Because those are the moments where your physiology, your system just needs to recover from the efforts you made before. However, you can keep practicing and studying, just do it less. Do it less, but on a longer time. That way you stay consistent, you keep being consistent, and it makes it easier. Basically, just learn to chill out, chill and calm down when you are into those phases where you don't make progress. Don't take that as an excuse to stop. It is just a signal you need to do a bit less. And by yourself, again, it may be really difficult. I know what it feels like. It can be really difficult to motivate yourself and to keep being consistent by yourself. That is why I have created this community called the NLP Next Gen community, where everybody is together. We can exchange, you can have support, emotional support, and we are all like coaches and therapists and stuff, so obviously whenever you need guidance or help, it is easier to get from people who are trained to help others rather than just random friends who may be cool but they may not be trained to give proper advice. We in this community are all trained to some extent to give advice, so if you want to join us and get really proper guidance for your goals or projects, you can join us. Every Thursday we have a call at the same time, and I will be glad to see you there.